Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Down Syndrome Center podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Kishore Balodi. And today we have one of my favorite types of podcasts. It's more of a special interest podcast. An author is joining us today, Antoinette Scaffidi, who has written a wonderful children's book. And her publicist had reached out to me and said, hey, we'd love to get the word out about this book. If you guys go back in time, you'll see some podcasts that we've done similarly for other children's books that have been written. And so we're so excited to have you joining the podcast today with us, Antoinette. I'd love to kind of get a sense from you of giving our audience really an idea of who you are, what you do, and why do you love working with people with Down syndrome?
Well, first, let me say I'm delighted to be here today with you, Dr. Belodi. I was excited. I was excited about the book. I was excited when I started to write it and think it. So if you'd like me to tell you a little bit about who I am.
Yes.
First. Okay, so my name is Antoinette Scaffidi, and I'm a businesswoman actually in Bel Air, Maryland. And I kind of love people and children and animals. They're like my favorite things in the world. So I've done many things in my life, from owning a deli to working in a hospital. It was one of my very first jobs as a cardiovascular tech. And then I switched gears and I went into insurance, and I had an insurance agency and an insurance school. I sold the school and retired. And that only lasted for 1 year. And I went back to my very first job in the hospital, working on a cardiac step down unit at one of the area hospitals. So I've had this thought in my head for a long time. My book was dedicated to my nephew, who is 30, going to be 32 years old. I was born 1991. So if my math is right, that's what it's going to be. So I've had it in my head for a long time. And what triggered that for me was I was I felt, I guess, vulnerable in a way because I was undiagnosed with a learning disability at a young age. And if you go back, I'm 62 years old. So if you go back that many years ago, they didn't really pay attention to that. They said you're hyper, you're this, or you're that. So in school, I felt a little unembraced, because I knew something was different, but I didn't know what. And it was only many years later that I went to seek out what was wrong, and I found out I'm dyslexic and a couple other things, but that didn't stop me from being successful. And when my nephew was born and he was diagnosed with Down syndrome, it occurred to me that no matter how deeply our family loved him, that outside of the family, it might be a big challenge for him. I think, to put it in a way, that people with Down syndrome have a very trusting nature, and they only have the ability to see light and not darkness. And they become vulnerable, and they're social and they're affectionate and loving. And I just wanted to bring, I think, maybe attention to that. So I had it in my head, and it would go in and out, and I would watch him, and he's just like a ball of just love. He can't be anything but, and kind and considerate and intelligent. And today, we put an emphasis on children with Downs, children on the autistic spectrum, and all that. I felt like I just wanted to do something that would bring attention to that, and hopefully teach a lesson at the same time, to always look up in life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the message that I wanted to bring out, that always to look up. And if you look at now all the attention and focus on one of the children with Down syndrome, or to be part of the norm, to be accepted as the norm. And hopefully this message will get out, not just by me, but by others, and all the work that you're doing there. And that's kind of my platform.
that is so wonderful, and I was able to read through the electronic copy of the book. It's a wonderful story. Not necessarily have to tell the whole story, but give our audience a little bit of an idea. What's the title of the book? What's it about? Who's it for? Those types of things.
Okay, so the title of the book is Not Down, Up, Mommy. And um, what's it for and for who it's for? You generally write, I thought I was going to write for a children's book, but this book doesn't have an age to it. It's a beautiful story about a little boy who one day playing hide and go seek, not only does he play hide and seek, but he teaches us all a lesson in life. And I I read this book to the little children. There were about 8 or 9 of them, and they came up with the best questions. And they're like, "How did he get up there?" And I'm like, okay, I get it. And I love their perspective on it. And they say, "Could I play with him?" And because he seems like a lot of fun, and I got a big kick out of that. So it's kind of for everyone. That's kind of like the story, but the story revolves around, him with his family, and they're accepting, and the neighbor comes over and they're playing in the game too. Just a nice lesson that you learn. And it was innocent because we're like, well, wait a minute, not down, up. And that always just stood in my head anyway.
Hmm.
So that's the story.
Yeah, and it brings up a parental fear that I've had when my kids were little. They were really, at least one of them, really, really good at hide and seek, and would never tell us where they were hiding. And if we didn't find them, they might be hiding all day long. And so, you bring some of that tension into the story as well. And then of course, he's found not looking under things but above. And I love the theme that you're addressing there with that as well. When you think of a book like this, just looking grand scheme, why do you think it's important to have a book like this available for younger readers? What does it bring to them?
Well, it brings to them the possibilities.
Mhm.
Possibilities. It's always looking up, never down, just as the book says.
Mhm.
So, and in such a childlike mind, almost the easiest things that we can accomplish, and not letting any learning disabilities or any disability whatsoever impact you, because you can always move forward and achieve what others can. And I did my homework when I was doing the book too, and you see that there's a woman in, I think it's Spain, and she has Down syndrome, but she's the mayor of the town. So golly, I mean, what an accomplishment. So she has no limits, and she's going to go farthest if you read her story. You have people that are models, people that are actresses, just the possibilities.
Yeah. And is this particular story? I know I'm sure there were many hide and seek games over the years for the main character Michael in the story, but is it based on a true story, or is it?
It is
Oh my goodness!
based on a true story.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, if somebody wanted to check this book out and read it for themselves, where might they be able to find it?
It's on Amazon now. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's going to be on Book Baby and Target and Walmart.
Wonderful, wonderful, and I'll include a link and the name of the book in the show notes as well. But as we're looking ahead, are there other projects that you have underway? Anything, but perhaps that might be interesting to our audience at all?
Well, I just had another book completed, which is on Barnes and Noble and Amazon, and it's Quincy's Love Lives Forever, and that's another true story about the little dog that someone had from a baby up, and the life cycle of a dog, and what his job was in life, and it was to be kind and show love. And when his job was over, he got to go with back to his mother and father. And on a cloud, he looks down and he sees that the lessons we learned, we went to a shelter to get a pet and love another one from his lessons. So, and then I have 2 other books, which are funny books. Everything I love about my husband and everything I love about my wife. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, but I'll give you a little insight. It didn't come out yet. It's due out in the next 8 weeks, 10 weeks. The Quincy book just came out 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's really new. And that is the book is everything I love about my husband and wife. It's about 40 pages and it's all blank. So
Oh, no. That's funny.
And I have just title chapters. One of the titles is "Till Death Do Us Part." It's not a call to action.
Oh, my goodness. That's so funny.
Funny.
Yes, it is.
And that's what I'm currently doing. And aside from that, the serious stuff is, I still do insurance, and the other serious stuff is I work at a hospital. I went back to my very first job with someone that I worked with for 40 years ago before I started all the other stuff. And that's a pleasure for me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
To always be able to help people.
That's great. So, are there any ideas or anything you want to share with our audience before we close the podcast today? Anything you want to give them as a takeaway point from this book in particular that you would want them to know?
Well, the biggest for me is just that children should not have limitations because the world is open to them, and we as a society are actually embracing all of it now, and thank God, because it's overdue. And thank God to the families that love all these babies and that we get to love them as well. So that's a big lesson for me, because I remember the stigma years ago if someone had a challenge, that didn't have a good, feel to it. And now we embrace that, and that we're all the same and we're all connected. Yeah. Everyone's connected. Everything is connected. Yeah. So that's my takeaway, and to love and to be kind, and with this biggest messages come from the simplest things and out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah. And I love that what you're describing is something that we've often said within the community is that we're more alike than we are different. And I think that that's one of the things that I took away from your story that you wrote was that, they're playing hide and seek, like kids play hide and seek, but it's such a big deal. And the neighbor coming over and experiencing the joy that Michael brought to her. And it was just a really nice story. So to our listeners, I'll give you, like I said, the show notes. I'll give you the name of the book and a link there where you can find it as well. But thank you so much, Antoinette, for being on the podcast with us today.
My God, it's my pleasure. I thank you, humbly thank you, and to all your listeners. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure.
Opportunity.
Of course. And to our listeners, if there are topics that you would like us to discuss, please do reach out to us at Down Syndrome Center at chp.edu. If you would like to partner with us financially, please visit givetochildrens.org/Down Syndrome Center, and we'd love to have you partner with us. But until next time, bye-bye.